Pleased to be joined by BKFC CEO David Feldman. David, really good to see you, mate. We made it happen. How's everything going for you? You've got an absolute monster of a show coming up. Is this one of the most exciting cards you guys have ever done?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here. I heard a lot about you. I know you're very well established over there. And thanks again. Yes, it's a great card. Four world championship fights. And when I say, a lot of people in these smaller promotions, they call their things world championships, but this is legitimate. We're the largest, fastest growing combat sport and combat sport promotion in the world. So I think that when we call it a world championship, it truly is a world championship. We have 4 world championships, legends of the game, some up and comers, some guys, everybody's been around, all very good match championship fights on the card. And then we have 10 undercard matches. So this is the most fights we've ever had on the card. We have 14 fights in total. We're going to do 4 fights free on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook channel prior to the fight. That's going to start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then we're going to go live with the main card at 9 p.m. on the Bareknuckle TV app. Or over there, you can get it on the Bareknuckle TV app or on Fight TV. So it's going to be a stacked card. I mean, just from top to bottom, great fights.
Yeah, BKFC 18, Saturday, June 26th, Palomino versus Goodjohn, Beltran versus Schumacher, Lombard versus Riggs, and Alves versus Diaz. It's such a cool blend of like pure bare knuckle boxers, MMA icons. I spoke to Hector Lombard the other day. He's an absolute wild man. So when you started this, 18th show, how pleased are you? Are you like beyond expectations? Are you right on track? Is this what you envisioned?
So like when I first thought about this thing and thought what I would do, I'm probably nowhere near where I thought I was going to be because, in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be the biggest thing in the world in a year. But in realistic expectations, I think the company has far exceeded where we thought we would be in just a little bit under 3 years in business. So I think we're doing great. We got a great team. We're doing some great partnerships with some guys over there in Thailand, John Nutt. We're launching a series in October in Russia, a monthly series in Moscow. We're going to be doing a series in England as well, and also in somewhere in Latin America, possibly Brazil or Mexico. So we have a lot of events planned. It looks like 2022, we're going to do an event every single weekend in a different location around the world. So things are crazy. I mean, look, when you start something, you say you want to go worldwide, right? And you're like, yeah, maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. I mean, legitimately, anyone in combat sports in the entire world knows who BKFC is in 3 years. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's massive growth. It's interesting. I mean, those places you just mentioned, you've got these crazy pockets of like history and love for the sport, Russia, America, South America, and England as well. How interesting has that been for you, the way that different parts of the world, these pockets, have just absolutely embraced it? Have you been surprised at all by just how much buzz around bare knuckle fighting there is?
I mean, crazy, man. It's like everybody seems to know what bare knuckle fighting is. They don't necessarily know my name or BKFC's name, but they know, oh yeah, I heard of bare knuckle. I heard of bare knuckle. Like, for instance, I was at the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul fight this weekend, and everybody was pointing at me. Not like there's David Feldman. They don't know that yet, but they were like, "You're the bare knuckle guy. You're the bare knuckle guy. You're the bare knuckle guy." I was like, "Wow, this is unbelievable." Chuck Liddell, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, everybody was like, "Yeah, you're the bare knuckle guy." Brennan Schwab. They all came up to me. They're like, "You're the bare knuckle guy." I'm like, man, it's just crazy how much this thing is taken off. You know what it is? It's we put on great fights. We make sure, if you look at our fights, it's never like, let's build up 5 guys on the show and see what they can do next time. It's like, look, we're putting on great fights. Every fight is a great fight. It's bare knuckle, so it's different because some guys go in there and you think they may be a favorite. In boxing gloves, maybe they would be a favorite. Take those gloves off, it's a game changer. So because of that, man, I'm the success has just been unbelievable, and the growth and the fan base, and really, the people I'm meeting everywhere I'm going, the global reach that we have right now. Sponsorships are coming through like crazy right now. TV rights deals, it's nuts. And I got to say, man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed that we have the opportunity to do this. I'm blessed that I've got such a great team. And, the thing is, I really take care of my guys. So I take care of the team. I take care of the fighters. As you know, I started the first ever, which launches in July, the first ever fighter pension, combat sports pension in the world. I'm doing things that, people never really took the step to do to help these guys. So, look, not every fighter in the world loves me, but most of them know that I care about them and that, I want to see the best for them. I want to see this thing grow. And it's not going to grow if I don't take care of the guys the way I need to take care of them.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, as you say, no one's really doing that. So it certainly sets a nice tone. I remember all of us, we had a night out. We're in London. We were crowded around a screen to watch BKFC 6. Did that feel like a landmark moment for you? How much of a big deal was that for you and the sport and the promotion? Paulie Malignaggi versus Lobov, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, we actually watched it today. It was so funny. We put it on today in the office because we were looking at some of the undercard fights. It was an unbelievable moment. I think for that summer, it was the largest combat sports event in the entire world, really, for that summer, the most talked about anyway. And the crowd was phenomenal. The fights were great. That fight, it was okay. It was an okay fight. It wasn't a great fight, but the event itself was unbelievable. All stars were there, athletes were there, everybody was talking about it. And my pay-per-view distributor was there. And after the fight, for the first time, because he never gave me the numbers right away on that, he would always say it's going to take a little bit. So he slid me a little piece of paper, and I opened it up, and I was like, holy shit. Like it was a great moment for us. It was absolutely a turning moment for everything that that we were working on up to that point.
Do you think it showed a little bit, opened some people's eyes? Because Artem doesn't have the greatest record in MMA, but to show you that you can beat a world champion boxer like Paulie Malignaggi, did that kind of flip it in the way that people view the sport? Because it's just not quite the same as boxing. It's a different ball game.
Absolutely, 100% it did. I always say, like, this is the true middle ground for boxing, MMA, whatever the other combat sports on there. This is the true middle ground because you can clinch, and it's bare knuckle, right? So when you clinch and you're punching, but this is what I call the great equalizer. When an MMA guy grabs the back of a boxer's head and he can pull it down into a punch. It just seems to take every boxer that fought so far. It seems to take them out of their game. They're like, whoa, what's that? They're not used to getting their head grabbed. So yeah, man. I mean, I think it just does a really good. It makes it very equal. So top boxers, top MMA guys, they can compete on an even level here. Some guys are better at boxing, not as good at MMA, or better at MMA and not as good as boxing, and can always have great matches. It's bare knuckle. I know it's bare knuckle, but when I say it's bare knuckle, like the bare knuckles changed the game. It changes everything about this and makes every fight exciting. And it's because of this right here, that sound. You hear that in the audience and you're like, wow, this is something different.
You've got another belter coming up in Tampa. That one featuring Paige. Sorry, it's not in Tampa. Paige VanZant versus Rachel Ostovich is
Tampa.
Coming up.
You're right. Tampa.
Yeah, it is in Tampa. And
July 23rd, we have Paige VanZant versus Rachel Ostovich on that. That matchup there was the kind of matchup where, everybody is like, what? Like, what's going on here? Two very attractive young ladies fighting each other in bare knuckle. And people are like, what is going on? Like, why? What's the intrigue with bare knuckle? The intrigue is it's something different. They get to challenge themselves, but there's not that many fighters in bare knuckle right now. So they have an opportunity to really stand out and make a name for themselves in a combat sport. In mixed martial arts, both of them, they were well known, but they weren't like superstars. Here, they both have the opportunity to become absolute superstars.
Yeah, Paige wrote on her Instagram, I think, "Come for the boobies, stay for the violence." She seems like a born marketer. She knows how to sell a fight. What did you make of that tagline?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I was like, she knows how to sell a fight, just like you said. She gets what it takes to sell a fight now, and she's great. She's cool. I really like her. She's a nice person. She had the odds stacked up against her, man, and she came through. she had a rough childhood, came up and did everything, that everybody said that she wasn't going to do. She did. I mean, she became a mainstream star, really, dancing on air. I mean, Dancing with the Stars, everything else that she was on, Good Morning America, all the different shows that she was on is, it's crazy what she did for herself. And then you have Rachel Ostovich, who absolutely is making a name for herself as well. I mean, it's going to be a great matchup. It's a rematch of their fight they had in the UFC, as you know. But, it's a different game. Again, like I said, Paige now has been hit with a bare knuckle, so she had a taste of it. And, let's see how Rachel reacts when she gets hit. Maybe she reacts good and comes right back. We'll see what happens with that. But the co-main event, actually the main event on that card is going to be Johnny Bedford versus Reggie Barnett for the vacant 135-pound championship. And I don't know if you saw the news today, but I stripped Datman Win of his championship. We couldn't come to financial terms. He was just, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to defend his championship. He wanted to move up in weight. So instead of just making these guys wait around forever, I said, look, I'm going to do something that not a lot of people do, and I'm just going to make fights happen. So I took the title from Datman Win, and I'm letting these guys fight for the title. Both, relevant number 1 and number 2 contenders, and I think they deserve the shot. I don't want to make these guys wait around forever. If you're not going to come to a deal with me, then go fight somewhere else. And, I wish him the best. He's a great guy. He might box again. He might do MMA. He might come back to us. I don't know what's going to happen. But in the meantime, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to give these other guys that have been, laying it all on the line for me an opportunity to fight.
Would you describe yourself as a combat sports fan? Fans, when they watch soccer, that they love to talk about who their team's going to sign. Is it crazy for you being in that position that you can sign kind of anything could happen? Who might kind of turn up at BKFC is an intriguing one to kind of debate for fans. If you could sign anybody, regardless of where they're at, regardless of price, if you could book like Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou in bare knuckle, what fight would you make?
I swear, man, you just took the words out of my mouth. That's the one I tell everybody. That's the fight right there. You took it. I was with Tyson Fury last week, not talking to him about that, but talking to him about some other things. And I did mention to him, I said, hey, a bare knuckle fight with Francis Ngannou, that would be unbelievable. And he's like, the money has to be right. But that is actually the fight that I said I think that would get the whole entire combat sports world to watch.
It's crazy because it's not a complete fantasy, that could happen somewhere down the line, right? If the money is right, like you said, huh?
It's all about money. And, I didn't know really how the UFC felt about us. I don't know how they truly feel about us, but I know that I'm going to make an announcement here with a signing in about 2 days of a contracted UFC fighter who they actually gave him a temporary release, if you will, to fight for us. And they've never done that with any other promotion ever, except for obviously Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather. So I was taken back by that, and I thought that was a really cool move on their part. So, you never know, right? If it makes money for us, it makes money for them, it makes money for the fighters. Anything can happen.
Well, I think it's a cool thing to do because MMA fighters seem to do just so well in BKFC at times, and it just brings in those fans, right? I think that mix has been pretty successful. The other thing, I'm a commentator for WLC, so of course I've got a bit of interest here. I saw you on Dave LeDuc's show. Dave LeDuc, so much fun to watch. I'm also interested that you said that the door's open for him. So tell me about that, the WLC potential acquisition. Dave LeDuc one day maybe fighting for you. Those two things really intrigue me.
Yeah, the WLC, it's a great sport. It's something, I like when people go outside the box, and it's really not that far outside the box because it's really kind of like the original, kind of combat sport that was around. But I love it. We just started negotiations. We're waiting for some more paperwork. We're going to see what happens. I don't know if we're going to end up getting a hold of it, or if we may do a partnership, or we may do something. But I'm definitely interested and intrigued by that. And David Ledoux, I would love. He's a legend in Lethwei. I would love to get him over to Bareknuckle Fighting Championship. One super fight. We'll find somebody that makes sense for him, and see what happens. I think you get all the people in Southeast Asia talking about this.
A lot of exciting things in the pipeline, David Feldman. You're the man. Thanks so much for the time.